You Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another Monday night live stream. So good to have you here. Let's share the stream just so everybody knows that what we're doing, where we're doing, and we'll get on with it. What's up, everybody? Hey, Wizard, how you doing? Glad you're here. It's time for one of my favorite games ever. This is Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. This game will probably take us a week or two to finish, but that's fine. It's a very fun, enjoyable game. If you've never seen it before, it's quite entertaining too, so I hope you all enjoy it. I'm going to skip this intro as fast as possible because there is a song sung by the guy who does the music for Dragon Ball Z here, And so that is probably going to get me copyright struck. Text our Titanic fact man and make sure he's ready to go. Anyway, we're going to play this game from the beginning and you guys will get to see all of it. So, let's watch the opening cutscene. This game has some weird ratio stuff going on, so if the screen appears too small or anything like that, I apologize. But the story is absolutely ridiculous for this game, and I'm just going to let you guys see it yourself. It kind of speaks for itself. This takes place during feudal Japan, by the way. I'll tell you a little bit about how I found this game and my history with it once this is over. Hey Review Fox, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, Konami made these. This was made by Konami Computer Entertainment Kobe, who also did Castlevania 64. So it makes sense that they would make some Yu-Gi-Oh cards after the Goemon and the boys. We meet our antagonist of the evening. If you've never played any of the Goemon games, they don't take themselves seriously at all, except for that one on the PS2 that we don't talk about. Most of the plots are as ridiculous or greater ridiculous than this. And they just get blown up. If we just proceed with our cunning plans. Yes, that is a giant peach flying right there. That's actually a boss later on. Is it really changing if you just put clothes on? It's just getting dressed. You're not changing. I'll hurry up. Alright, so this game plays, it's almost like a platformy Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, if that makes sense. There's about 4 or 5 dungeons which we need to complete. There's various weapons, and it also has different characters. We have 2 right now, we'll get more later. But for right now, we just have Goemon and Ebizumaru. Later, we will get Sasuke and Yae. If you've ever played any of the Goemon games, they should be familiar to you. I actually remember what to do here. So normally the game would send you like to the fortune teller or something, but I know what to do, so it doesn't matter. When you get lost, you can go see the fortune teller and he will like tell you which way to go. But I know what the first objective we need to do is. If I can just remember how to get there. I think I remember. Basically, to get into the first dungeon of the game, we need a chain pipe. Which is this thing here we have. We can get one with a chain on it, which is kind of like the hook shot, only not quite as in-depth as it was in Ocarina of Time. We need to go find that first. I actually own a copy of this game. I'm emulating it because I still haven't got my setup working yet. Haven't found time to sit down and test it and find a test subject to watch it for me and make sure that the sound and all that is Gucci before we start. So I can already tell I'm going to have to change which window I'm doing this in because it's going to end up hurting my neck. If I remember correctly, you can ask for pizza at this. We're at a coffee shop, which I don't know if they had coffee in medieval Japan, but the coffee shops are all over this game, and you can basically go there to restore your health. Yeah, I want to. I'm going to have to set up some time with you so that I can do like a one-person stream and then let you check the sound quality. Yeah, here we go. I think it's the one in town. You can try to order pizza and they'll be like, what is pizza? It hasn't been invented yet. Alright, we have the map. Now we just need to continue on. After we get past the nice little lag spike there. If I have to swap plugins or emulators, we will. If I remember correctly though, this part of the game is fairly laggy, and then as you get into the rest of it, it's not so much. It's probably because they put a lot of effort into this first area, and then the later one's not so much. And the reason we're going over here is there's a fortune doll, and those are basically like your heart pieces. They increase your health. I think tea was... So, I mean, the tea house, yeah, I get the tea. Tea has been around Japan forever. But, like, you can order, like, pizza and, like, there's a travel agency later on that you go to. This game is full of anachronisms, which I find hilarious. I do love a good anachronism in a movie or a game. Especially when they just, like, make no qualms about it and they just act like it's completely normal. The biggest mountain, Mount Fuji. I remember the last time I went to Mount Fuji climbing the ladders and the platforms around it. I remember renting this game and thinking it was the greatest thing ever. And then reading the review of it in GamePro, and they didn't really like it. And I was just like, how could you not like this game? It's like the best game ever. Yeah, that it does. It's also more fun. Enemies drop those, they restore your health. Yeah, so this game, I was chilling out, maxing all cool one day at the house. And this was back 90s, of course, there was no internet. One of my friends that was my age called me on the landline cell phone. Not a cell phone, just a landline phone. Because that was something people actually did, was call each other and talk on the phone. Can you believe that crap? Nowadays, it's like, I just want to text. I don't want to talk to you people. But anyway, he called me and he was just filling me in. And he's like, hey, there's a new game at Movie Gallery to rent. And I was like, what game is that? He's like, it's called Mystical Ninja, and you go around and you hit stuff with a pipe. And I thought that sounds pretty weird. Oh, well, that's about to rotate. And so I happened to see it. I got the scoop when he brought it back. I happened to be there the next weekend, and I saw it, and I said, okay, I'll try this pipe game. And I was just completely blown away by the quirky Japanese humor, and the graphics I thought were really great. I like the story. It's a very simple story. It's quite ludicrous, but for the time I thought it was amazing. It's just childhood. But really fun game. Really influenced my taste as a gamer. And I didn't know it, but the Goemon series was primarily a 2D series. And so this was kind of their experimentation with like a 3D style. And for the sequel, they actually went back to 2D. And the only time you're in 3D is like when you're in the towns and stuff. And so the second one is nearly a completely 2D game. But I was disappointed actually, because I knew there was a sequel to this, but I never had a chance to play it because our video store didn't get it. And so I knew it existed because I read about it. Years later, I saved up money and found a copy and bought it. And I was like, wait a minute, this is 2D, this isn't 3D. It was still a great game, it just wasn't what I expected. But I've always wanted to play another 3D Goemon like this. Okay, yeah, we got the chain pipe. Now we can enter the first dungeon. And unlike The Legend of Zelda, there's sometimes fairly large gaps between the dungeoneering in this game. Like right here at the beginning of the game, you get one item and you go to the dungeon pretty quick. In future entries, not so much. There'll be a lot of like stuff we have to do in between to get there. Yeah, that's the truth. I think that even before game journalism was taken over by the people that currently run game journalism, I think it's kind of like the thing with movies. Like some movies you go and you look and they'll have like a terrible critic score, like Siskel and Ebert will hate it. And then you look at the viewer reviews and they just love it, kind of stuff like that. Like I remember they gave this game a mediocre review. They gave the sequel a bad review. GamePro did. They gave it like a 2.5 and said it wasn't any good, but it's great. I mean, it's a 2D game, but if you don't mind a 2D platformer, it's excellent. The only criticism I would have with this game is that it has really low replay value. There is not much to do once you've beaten the game. I mean, you can go back and get all the health ups, but you don't really get anything other than like a boss rush mode for it. And there's like no reason to beat it because you don't unlock anything. The sequel does actually have multiple costumes, so you can like unlock new costumes for everybody, and there's like a secret world, so there's a little bit of post-game content. But this game, not so much. You pretty much beat it, and then that's just the end. I remember being very sad. It's one of those games where you play it and you get to the last boss and beat it, and then the game's over and you're just kind of like, what? That's the last boss? What's next? There's got to be something next, right? But what's next never comes. Yeah, here we go. So whenever you see these star blocks, you can use your chain whip to get across them. I mean, chain pipe. Maybe he did. AVGN has done so much random stuff these days. I've kind of lost track of all his newer stuff. Oh yeah, that's much better. I had to move my windows around. It was killing my neck. Got to all be about that ergonomic life, you know? Oh, the Happy video. Yeah, I've never watched him. I know that he exists, but I've never really sat down and watched him. But I do know he's a thing. I probably should have saved first. It's one of those games where it makes you confirm like 7,000 times before it actually saves the game. Oh, Ribbon Mike. So the general premise of this game, and there are other Goemon games with similar ridiculous plots, is that you are Goemon and Ebismaru, and you also get to play as Sasuke and Yae, but we don't have them yet. These two guys, well, it's a guy and a girl named Spring Breeze Dancin, and it's like Summer's Eve Lily or something like that. I think that's a feminine hygiene product. Anyway, they show up in a giant mecha shaped like a peach and start turning Japan into like a stage, like an opera performance stage, because they want to like put on a TV show and perform for everybody. I didn't exaggerate. That is the plot of the game. And so Goemon is like, no, we ain't having that. And so you just go on this like wacky adventure across medieval Japan to try to stop them. That's the gist of it. But it's ridiculous. Like there's space robots, anachrisms. They talk about being a movie star in the USA. I mean, it's just ridiculous, crazy stuff. It's just a very charming, goofy little game. Some of Konami's best work on the N64. The setup of the game is very similar to Ocarina of Time. Like I was saying earlier, there's about 4 dungeons. The difference between Ocarina of Time is very like, go get an item, dungeon. Use that item to get to the next dungeon. Whereas this game is like, dungeon, and then there'll be some story stuff in between there, and then you'll have another dungeon. But there's a lot more emphasis placed on the in-between parts. I gotta remember how to control the camera. You can see right. This game is not quite as refined with its camera control or as Ocarina of Time or Zelda or any of those games. I don't know what Gintama is, but we'll go with it. You know, I'm kind of the same way, Wizard. Like, starting out, everybody was about the video game nerd, and like he was the big thing. But I really legitimately enjoy Mike Matei's content. I know there's like some differing opinions on like, is he an a-hole? Is he not? I know he's split with AVGN now. But like if you go to Twitch and watch his Twitch stream, it's generally very entertaining. It's not as high strung as AVGN. It's down to earth. It's usually like him playing some old really hard game. So it's just really chill. I like a good chill stream. So one really cool thing about this game is the music is superb. It's like some of Konami's best music. And the dungeon music, the further you get into the dungeon, the music matches the pace. It's a really cool effect. And hopefully you guys will notice it later if I don't drown myself trying to jump off this thing. But see, we just entered the dungeon, so right now it's like all the instruments are missing. But as we get to the end, it'll layer on more, and it sounds really cool. There we go. Angry Video Game Nerd. His show is so different now. I mean, it's similar, but it's really different at the same time. The jumping on these things is really weird. There we go. I think I've told the story before. While everybody else was watching AVGN, there was a user called Sycophant, and that's where I got the inspiration for my channel from. Because if you watch something like AVGN back in the day, like even his early videos, the quality of the production was way higher than anything your average Joe would be able to put together. But Sycophant, his videos are very simple. It was just like him recording footage of the game, and then he would give you his opinion. And he basically used his wit and his, like, I don't know, his review skills to make the review entertaining versus like high production values. And so I took a lot of inspiration from that. I thought, well, if he can do this with just like recording some gameplay, you know, I know how to use a microphone in Windows Movie Maker. I can make something cool too. And going back all my old videos, their quality is just so bad. But I mean, goodness, everybody's quality was in the gaming sphere back then. Like if you go watch AVGN's Simon's Quest review, like the quality on that is fairly low compared to what we would consider today to be decent quality. Oh yeah, I played through all 3 Splatterhouse games years ago, back to back to back. That was fun. I still haven't played the one on Xbox 360. I heard it had mixed reviews. And it's so fun to be playing this game again. I got stuck for the longest time as a kid. I'll point it out when we get to that part. But there's a part later on that had me stumped for like 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't know what to do. Trying to remember. Generally, you want to go to the door that you see first. Wait, this is the way we came. I got mixed up somewhere. Let's go back. I played through them on a like Kega emulator with save states, so I'm probably not the best person to judge the Splatterhouse games. I know the third one has some like terrifying cutscenes in it, that's for sure. I really hate the beginning of this game because your weapons are so crap. You don't get some better weapons until later in the game. Oh nice, you 1 credit cleared it. You really are the grandest of wizards. The chain whip gives you range, but it sticks you in place. So it's very hard to use effectively. See, like, there's a room filled with dumpling robots. I mean, it's just ridiculous. This game makes no sense. The enemies are all canonically robots, by the way, with the exception of, like, the main villains. Oh yeah, Namco came out with a new, like, stupid pink logo or whatever that looked really generic and dumb. I saw that. Bandai Namco going downhill and Konami's thinking about coming back. Oh, how the times have changed. It's kind of ironic that the pandemic may be why we have Castlevania and Silent Hill again. Because it killed the pachinko industry. And so like, dang, maybe we should have some AAA games in our portfolio to help us out. Oh, those things are annoying. Not confirmed, but there was a, you can Google it, Riven Mike, but essentially several news outlets started reporting that a reliable source had told them that Konami was now working on Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, and what was the other one? Silent Hill. New games, and that they had basically like were outsourcing them, like kind of semi-outsourcing them, but not, if that makes sense. Like they were collaborating with other development studios to make them. And Silent Hill was one of the games mentioned. It was Castlevania, Metal Gear, and Silent Hill, which are probably their three most famous properties, so that makes sense. And you know, this isn't the first time we've heard this rumor. There was that persistent rumor like a year ago that Sony was thinking about buying the rights to those franchises, so I think that Konami has probably been putting feelers out for a while as far as, you know, they don't want to put their whole foot in, if that makes sense. Kind of like companies like to outsource stuff. Like, we need this, but we don't want to spend our own manpower on it, so they just outsource. And so if I had to guess, it's something like that. Konami wants some of that AAA gaming industry money, but they don't necessarily want to jump back into it themselves yet. So they are like flirting with third-party developers. Hopefully they pick somebody better than Mercury Steam this time to handle Castlevania. Yeah, that's the popular opinion review, Fox. A lot of people have said that like Dark Souls is essentially modern day Castlevania, because both games are about like doing correct movement. They're about like knowing the limitations of the movement of your character, committing to movement. And so they're very similar. I think there is some ground there. Imagine the gameplay of Dark Souls, but with a narrative on the level of Castlevania, which is not super deep, admittedly, but it's more of a story than the current Dark Souls has. Anyway, this is Baron. This is one of Spring Breeze Dancin and Lily. This is one of their henchmen. And there's several of these guys. Yeah, see, he wants to make Wado Castle a beautiful stage. What would we need a stage for? Why don't we just grab this weirdo by the throat, ... and beat him up a bit. There's also a laugh track in this game for whatever reason, if you can't hear it. I forget the name of the studio that was supposedly working on the next Castlevania. I just hope it's a normal game. Like, I know there's going to be like freaking cosmetic DLC and health packs and stupid stuff like that for sale, but just please let it be enough of a game that you can actually play it and enjoy it without being monetized to death. This is Congo, the first boss, and it's the boss, not the movie from the 90s. He's super easy. Most of the bosses aren't too tough. There's some that it can be kind of frustrating later on, but most of them are pretty simple. Mr. Big. Yeah, it's the Japanese version, Mr. Big. He's one of the few bosses that takes semi-free damage, and that you can just wail on him when he's vulnerable and make him take hits. Most of the other bosses take set damage, where you have to like make them vulnerable somehow before you can actually hurt them. But this guy's the only one that's different. I'll be happy when we unlock Sasuke and Yae. I've always preferred them to Goemon and Ebisumaru. Please die. Ding. This should be the last phase right here. Should be. Yeah, there we go. He needed one hit. Of course, one more hit. And we get what's essentially this game's version of the spirit medallion for it. That sucks. Whee. Lord, what is happening in there? Instant stage beam. You can actually refuse his request, and he just like says, "But you have to." And if you refuse it like 5 or 6 times, the audience will boo you. Are you sure that you don't not want to save? And because the game hates us, we don't get a teleport back to town. We actually have to walk back. It used to be more like make our franchise more like Devil May Cry of God of War. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knew that Lords of Shadow was essentially God of War. Everybody knew that. It's not a bad thing. I mean, God of War is not a bad game. It's just not necessarily what people wanted. Like the chat mod, Riven Mike, he's a huge fan of the Lords of Shadow series because that's where he started the series with. I actually left my copy of Lords of Shadow for the Xbox 360 in the back seat pocket of a rental car. And so some very lucky or unlucky person got to have that game. A huge melon just flew in. You may notice we have an item box down there. That's where we can buy items to help us, like restore your health if you run out of HP, and armor to take hits for you. I never messed around with that as a kid, and I still don't to this day. There's just not much purpose to it. They're always coming up with contrived reasons why you can pass barricades you couldn't previously pass. It's almost Pokemon level. Yeah, the whole Golgoth Guards was just an excuse to have stealth segments in a game that didn't need them. Konami already owned Metal Gear Solid. They didn't need to stick stealth segments in Castlevania. So I'm just going to show you this area over here. We'll have to come back here towards nearly the end of the game. Once we get the ability to go Super Saiyan, we can push these metal blocks out of the way. But we can go over here and pick up a fortune doll early. Just kind of help us along the way. Last I checked, I don't remember that Guido was facing the ocean, but we'll go with it. Yeah, you have to wonder if, like, after the game was over, like, those Golgoth Guards were still wandering around the same area to this day. My favorite thing that Lords of Shadow did was kind of take the game into the modern era. I really like that twist at the end of the first game. But I felt in some ways they squandered it. Funny story about this game, if you play this game with a Game Shark, there is a cheat code for moon jump, and after we fight this boss we're about to fight, it stops working. It's the most bizarre thing ever, but once you beat this boss, it changes something in the game which makes that moon jump code stop working. One thing that I really liked about this game is it really gives you the feeling of going on an adventure across Japan, because it's all about going from one place to a new place you've never seen, and you don't really come back. There's a few times you backtrack, but a lot of the time you're just going from point A to point B. You miss out if you don't, though, because there are some NPCs that have like changed dialogue and stuff after certain story things are met. You're the weirdo from Wado Castle. You weirdo. If you're about to watch this after the fact, this next segment may have to get cut out because of the music in it. So if there's no sound for this part, I apologize. What you're about to see is in fact real life. Seeing this for the first time as a kid just blew my mind. I had no idea what was going on. Hey. Break down. Every time you fight in this robot, this entire segment plays out every single time. It's also unskippable. You can't skip it. So the purpose of this little mini game is to basically like break as much stuff as possible to fill up your energy meter there. It gives you more energy for the boss fight we're about to face. You have to time his jumps because he has a little like charge period before he actually does his jump. This makes sense. Every Japanese hero has a giant robot. I mean, yeah, kinda. I was always partial to Big O myself. I thought that was the best big robot anime. Alright, let's see if I can remember how to do this. Okay, that's... okay, there we go. They're like secret commands too. I'm gonna have to look them up because I don't remember what they are. Yeah, I'm bad at this. I don't remember exactly what to do, but we'll figure it out. Most of it just involves using your big punch to knock his attacks away. We have a big laser beam like finishing move we can use, but I'm gonna have to look up the command to do it. Just pelt him with these because it's cheap damage. Once we get his health low, we'll go for the laser beam attack. The sequel actually gives you the button commands in the menu, but in this one you just kind of have to figure them out for yourself. The whole first time I played the game, I didn't know about the chain whip grab attack, and it's super useful. Every one of them has like an ultimate attack that they'll get off at least once unless you use like speedrunner tech, and you're just gonna have to fight your way out of it. Yeah, here it comes. Yeah, I need to look up the moves. So let's see if we can't finish him off. How do I shot laser? C up, C right, C down, C left, and Z. So basically you go around and you press Z. Okay. That's what you do. Yeah, here it comes. Got him. Yeah, see, that killed him. Great. You can only do that when your radar meter is flashing, which you build up by using a lot of attacks. But that's like your ultimate attack. So I think it's really cool that even you have secret special moves you can use. Ah! Oh, I forgot about Steel Battalion with like the $300 gigantic controller that you have to get to play the game as it was meant to be played. On the line, call him anytime. Call him. I mean, they're not bad. I mean, and they were doing these. Like Goemon on the Super Nintendo has these sections in them. They're not as complex, but it had them. We're about to pick up our second party member. Yamashiro Lagu desu. Okay, there is yay. Wow. Here's the narrator. There's a narrator for some reason that comes up and talks. The mysterious Flake Gang. I bet the translators that translated this game to English really had their hands full with some of the weird stuff in this one. And there's a ton of obscure Japanese references. Every so often I'll be reading about Japanese culture and I'll read something and I'll be like, oh, that was why that joke was in Mystical Ninja that time. Alright, so now we've unlocked Yay. So the next dungeon, we've got a little bit of legwork before we get to it. I'm trying to remember my way around this area. I think we go here. So you remember like 2 weeks ago when we played Fujiyama Buster or Shogun Warriors, Benkei? Same guy. So Benkei here won't let us buy unless we give him some treasure. We don't have any treasure. So we have to go and talk to Ishikawa here, who will tell us how to get past. So this is a very annoying little fetch quest here. They couldn't just let him teach you. You have to do this annoying quest, but whatever. I would be interested to try some of those mech warrior type games, because I think the hard part would be giving you the feeling of being behind the wheel of a giant machine while at the same time making it so you're not just sitting in first person, because that would make something like that very hard to pilot. Alright, we need 5 yellow fish. Count along with me, chat. 1 yellow fish. Ah, ah, ah. Oh, come on. There we go. 2 yellow fish. I think there's probably a red fish, blue fish joke in here somewhere. That's 3. Yon. And then 5. Benkei is a Yu-Gi-Oh card too. If you stack equip magics, he can attack more times. Yeah, that kind of meets his thing, at least as far as the Goemon and the gaming industry is concerned. They always kind of portray him as this character with like a big sack full of weapons for whatever reason. I need to go back and read his like folklore backstory or whatever. 8 red fish. Now this is the tricky one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I walked right through him. 5, 6, 'and there's going to be 1 in that far map on all the way on the other side that we'll have to get. As a kid, I didn't realize that you could go to this other side here. I thought you were just supposed to go to the river over there and find them. So this part took me a very long time to figure out. And so we get a log. I'm sure he will move to the side. Okay. So this gives us the Achilles heel, which we will need to take out Benkei so that we may pass on to the next area, which I believe is Folky Poke Village. Well, well, it's a fight with Benkei. Look for the instant Benkei reaches the ground when jumping, and throw the Achilles heel at him 3 times within the time limit. The item can be thrown by pressing the B button. So this is our first mini game, and this first one's pretty simple. We just need to hit him 3 times. But it's kind of screwy. It's basically a matter of figuring out his jump to how long it takes Ye to throw. There we go. Ever since the Achilles heel was thrown at Benkei, Achilles heel was meant to be the weak point of someone. There's something fishy about that story. Nice little 4th wall break there. That is actually the 4th/3rd party member. And I'll show you why I call him the /3rd here in a second. In most Goemon games, including the sequel, Sasuke is the 3rd character. And you can see, if you go from left to right in the menu here, you got Goemon, Ebisumaru, Sasuke, and then Yae. But even though in this game you pick up Yae 3rd, she's in the 4th slot, which is usually that's the order that the characters are in other Goemon games. So I don't know if they just kept it that way for consistency or if they were thinking about changing that around at some point. But anyway. Hey Ernest, how you doing? Hadn't seen you in a bit. You know me, just playing some old games that nobody cares about anymore. Oh yeah, we have to open that later. Oh yeah, there's a little bonus area here. We can, I think, get a health up cat, I think. I gotta remember, what does this say? Yeah, here we go. Do I have to? I don't know. It's just been easier to continue working from home and just not deal with the commute. So I have not. I mean, I could probably just grill hamburgers here for lunch one day if I really wanted a hamburger and a bag of chips. Might even bake myself a big cookie. It's kind of confusing the way they worded that. When they said remaining players, what they basically meant is you got an extra life. Having an extra player is some very old gaming extra life terminology you don't hear very much. Yeah, I mean, me and Ernest were planning to collaborate, but between COVID and all the other mess, it's hard to. I still want to do a stream where, like, we play Sega Bass Fishing or something. And we'll see how good he is with that awful Dreamcast fishing controller. Awaji Island. Might as well refill our health while we're here. Oh, nice. Say, Ernest, take care. Arrivederci. Au revoir. Catch the big one, my friend. So this is a tourist agency, and they use a dragon to ferry people from place to place. But a robot has taken over their dragon, so we're going to help them out with that. How does this get us on the back of a dragon? Who knows? Don't ask. Doesn't make sense. Why we didn't just get thrown off either, I don't know. That's really hard to hit. There's so much stuff that in this game that happens and that just never gets mentioned again. Like a scarecrow robot on the back of a dragon. Ocarina of Time wasn't very big on field mini-bosses either, but this game will sometimes throw them at you in situations like this. It really kind of does its own thing rather than follow the strict like dungeon, out of dungeon item, dungeon, out of dungeon item, finish the game type pattern. There we go. Nothing to it. So that's 2 times we should have been thrown off. 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to assume there was a 7 in there somewhere. It's the protagonist of Deltarune. Again, a reminder, do not click any of those videos or they will take over your YouTube recommendations for like 3 weeks. Yes, Dragon, who had been hypnotized by the Peach Mountain, was actually none other than Koryuta, the son of the Dragon God. Of course, Koryuta, son of the Dragon God. I knew that. Also, the game doesn't really do a good job of explaining to you Basically, you go from crisis to crisis and fix it until you face the Peach Mountain Shoguns once and for all. The second part of the game is there's a village we're about to find where all their children have been kidnapped, and so we have to figure out what happened to the children. Goemon is very much a hothead, Ebisumaru is comic relief, and then Yae is always playing the straight man. And when we meet Sasuke, he's extremely formal, and he he's somewhat childlike in that stuff goes over his head. He doesn't get certain things. But the game doesn't do a good job of telling you the children are missing. And by the time that Goemon and the gang start talking about it, it's like they already know it's going on. So you as the player, you feel a little bit of dissonance there because it's like, well, everybody knows about this but me. It's almost like that Namco Tekken early story thing where the developers had a very concrete story in mind, but they didn't do the best job of conveying it. And so basically this little segment unlocks fast travel. We can use that flute to travel to places we've been before. Alright, so this section, you can go back this way, which is where we ultimately have to go. But you have to go up these steps and grab an item up here to complete the game. It just doesn't tell you, so we're going to go ahead and knock it out. We'll actually need this ability for the next dungeon, so might as well go ahead and do it right now. Once you've played the other Goemon games, this game feels similar even though it's 3D. I think the developers considered some of the other areas, like this little area, almost like levels in a 2D game. Because there's lots of little like mini challenge areas between each dungeon that you'll go through. And this Compira Mountain is one of such little mini dungeons. And so why did we come up these steps? It's we need Flaming Ryu, that's why. Yeah, notice it said the torch can also be lit by using this. That torch is one you find in a dungeon later. But frankly, your luck has nothing to do with me. Okay, well thanks for that. Appreciate it. Oh, Rasmus, it's been a few weeks. How you been, man? Good to have you here. This game is full of these little one-off areas where you can just go and talk to people and you get nothing out of it other than just like some flavor text. Nowadays games wouldn't do that because it's all about, oh, we can't design stuff people will never see. This game is very bad about making you go down or leave dungeons you've just completed. And if I guess, they did that to pad out the playtime a little bit. Three weeks? We'll never get caught up now. Oh, Riven Mike, are you still here? When we get the BBH update, we also have to get the Titanic facts of the week. It's very important. If you're new to the stream, every week our pal, Riven Mike, provides us with a couple, maybe 4 or 5, 3 or 4 interesting Titanic facts. I did miss them. So now we've arrived in Folky Poke Village and there's sad music playing because everybody's kids are missing. Some nice accurate depiction of feudal Japanese tear farming here. Somewhere in this village is a little kid who is wearing a mustache and he doesn't get kidnapped because of it. It's really funny. Has he 1 credit cleared the arcade version of Silkworm yet? Let me know when he 1 credit clears that one or gets to the last stage. Nothing I hate more than an arcade game that goes on forever. Yeah, see, so in order to not be kidnapped by the dragon, I use this fake beard. Oh no, I forgot to bring it. You would think you would just like stay inside and you wouldn't get kidnapped. Also, if the dragon kidnaps the kids, wouldn't you see it coming very easily? Yeah, see, there's your hint that you have to go and get that. Unless you pay a visit to the shrine at Compira Mountain, the children may never return. Yeah, that's your hint that, hey, there's a key item up there you need to beat this game. That's a little clue to help you in the next dungeon. It was that or put on an orange wig and pretend you're on Conan. I suppose so. I'm not familiar with any of those games, so he's crossing into obscure territory at this point. Oh, Vine Bridge. This is like one of the worst parts in the game. Yeah, that's true. You would think that all of the the big standbys in arcade games have been completed at this point. I assume he's already done like all the like versus Super Mario Brothers and those type things, right? Somewhere at the house, I've got an old Guyver manga that I got from Japan sitting around here somewhere. Has he done the 1 credit clear for Wardener yet? That's pretty obscure. One day I'll play Wardener on stream. That game showed up at a pool hall I used to work at just randomly for like 1 week one time. And I never got very far with it. If I remember, it was one of those games where when you die, you have to go back a little ways and you can't continue from the spot you were at. So I wasn't about to spend just a ton of money trying to get through it. Okay, I'm going to have to go back and watch the Wardener playthrough because I've always wanted to see what the ending to that game was like. Alright, notice there's a tiny hole over here. We're going to need our first character special ability to get to that. Arcade Hook. That's a game I haven't seen in a while. Yeah, see here, so naturally you would find that that locked door and you would notice the little hole beside it, so you would go the other way, run into this coffee shop, and the lady would tell you about the dwarf in Zazentown. So that's your hint that you need to go to Zazentown and figure out what to do. Fortunately, we already know what to do. Bad Neo Geo games. There's not too many bad Neo Geo games, is there? Since he already did the Super Spy or whatever it is. What's a bad Neo Geo game? Most of the Neo Geo games I used to play were good, so I'm trying to think of a bad one. A bad Neo Geo game. Type in the chat a bad Neo Geo game that's not the Super Spy. Oh, a wizard here with the hot take. He said most Neo Geo games are bad. Fight Fever, I guess, would be an example of a bad Neo Geo game. But it's in that like survival arts category though, where it's like not so bad you can't play it and get some enjoyment out of it. King of Fighters 94 is not bad, it's just primitive. Like if you were playing that in 1994, you'd probably think it was okay. So the dwarf that we're supposed to find is none other than our old friend Nishikawa, who I think is probably some pun on the fact that she's in front of a river. I didn't even bother giving a walk animation. It just slides along the ground there. Ragnagard? I don't even know that one. Battle, Flip Shot, Fight Fever, Legend of Success Joe, SVC Chaos. Uh oh, the hot take again. I don't understand why so many people hated SVC Chaos. I played it. I didn't get it at competitive level. I thought it was a perfectly fine fighting game. I know it's probably busted at high level, but what fighting game from back then isn't absolutely busted at a high level? Pleasure Goal. Yeah, that just sounds like one of those games that's more so unfortunately named than named for any lewd purpose. So Nishikawa at will gets the narrator to explain something for us. And this is our first our first mini game to get a power up, a special magic power. They range from pretty ho-hum like this one to absolutely dreadful like Goemon's is later on. There's probably some Japanese joke behind all this, but I don't know what it is. There we go. Ronaldinho Saucer! So is not canon. If you guys haven't seen my review of Super Sidekicks, you need to go look that up right now. It's a high quality review. I put a lot of effort into it. You need to check that out. The Legend of Success Joe. That just sounds like a bad game. The Legend of Success Joe. Ronaldinho Saucer. No, 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 no. We almost lost some time there. Is Success Joe and the Legend of Success Joe, is it the same Successful Joe in both games? Or is it different Successful Joes? So all that just so we could pass through that tiny little gap right there and continue on to the next dungeon. I'm gonna have to look them up. It's one of those games I've heard of, but I don't know anything about. So I need to figure that out. Maybe that'll just be my stream from now on Monday nights. We'll just get on here and play Legend of Success Joe. This calls for Goemon. Thank you, I'd appreciate that. I want to check those two out. I must see this legendary Success Joe along with Success Carlton and Success Bob. But for right now, just Success Joe. Alright, let me see. I need to shot web. No, I need to... So this is Ghost Toys Castle. It's the second dungeon in the game. It's a tiny step up from the first one, but it's nothing we can't handle. The dungeons won't get confusing until we get to the next one, which is Festival Temple. That's a Japanese crane game. We need to activate the on switch over there to play it, however. Right now the power is off. Oops. I don't know why falling in the water in this game has to be so punishing. There we go. Ah. Press jump, he didn't jump. Hey Goemon, it would be really nice if you would jump there, please. We're getting that fortune doll. I played through the entirety of Parasite Eve just to prove a point. So if you don't think I won't get this fortune doll, you're dead wrong. You can actually get like up to 2 full rows of hearts with all the fortune dolls hidden in this game. But sadly, there's just no point. Like, you never run into anything so dangerous. Like, there's no like super boss or anything like that that's so hard it would require you to have all that health. Legend of Success Joe. Yeah, I'm not going down there for two dumplings with almost full health. This is a weird thing you can do in this dungeon. To my knowledge, there's nothing else like it in the game. So you just figure out this obscure puzzle and you get this nice little cash bonus here, and then you have to go back to the dungeon. That was close. So is Success Joe, is it like an old boxing anime, or is it like just a... It sounds like one of those anime about like a guy working a 9-to-5 job or something. Fun fact, there is a fortune doll hidden at the very bottom of this room. And the only way to get it is to come all the way back here at almost the very end of the game. Once you get Ye's special power, go to this room and go under the water and get it. When I finished the game the first time, I was so desperate for more content. I actually went back and did it, and that's how I found that. Because there was an alternate path before we got to the dungeon I didn't go down. And so I was like, oh, maybe there's an alternate story over there or something. There was no alternate story. It's the old boxing anime. Oh, so even before like Hajime no Ippo. Which was that weird PS2 boxing game me and the boys used to play. Oh, I overshot that. I didn't get off fast enough. That should do it. Oh no, we were too far that time. This confused me as a kid as to why a crane game was like that. But then I went to Japan and that's literally all of their crane games. It's like 2 buttons instead of a joystick, which is the more American crane game type setup. Both of them are equally a scam in my mind. This should do it. The Goemon team was generous enough to make it so that the hook won't drop it. As long as it picks it up, you always get it, which is nice. Back during the PS2 era, I had a buddy. He used to import games, and he imported this. I think it was a Hajime no Ippo boxing game for the PlayStation 2. And you could generate like a random boxer, which was like the coolest feature ever because you could do a tournament with nothing but randomly generated boxers. And so we would do that. We would have just like these tournaments where everybody, like, you randomly generate all the boxers and then everybody would get assigned a seed that they had to play. And so you never know what you would get. Sometimes you would get like this super heavyweight guy, and then your guy would be this like tiny flyweight guy. It's completely broken, but a lot of fun. 10 out of 10. Do recommend. These floating James Charles heads in this level. Horion! They kind of were, because you would get these characters like really big heads and small limbs and like all other types of horrible monstrosity creations. The golden fortune doll instantly gives you a strength gauge upgrade. That's essentially the compass from Legend of Zelda, is all that is. You'll also notice the music just picked up more instruments. You have to take a picture of the ghost to make them vulnerable, by the way. I'm sure you figured that out, but it's the whole reason we need that wind-up camera, because we can't progress unless we get it. Ironically, in the sequel, Ebismaru has the best jumping ability of anybody because his special weapon in that game creates blocks that he can stand on to use to jump over obstacles. And he also has a butt bounce. Hold on. Fatal Goemon, I think, was the working title, but yes. Man, I played Fatal Frame in college. That was a decent, spooky little game. Oh, it's October, right. I need to play something spoopy. How many weeks do we have before Kit? Good news, Torensu fans, if all three of you watching right now. I will be going to Kumite in Tennessee this year. So expect some video footage there. We'll make it a goal to try to get footage of me getting skunked at Tekken by Little Majin or somebody. Wait, this is where we came from. Well, that was a fail. Seem to recall this section being quite difficult. Like the spacing on the jumps is very difficult. And also the camera going insane makes it... What are you doing, camera? Not that camera. It's one of those weird games where the camera is like a physical object. Okay, there we go. Just wait. Tekken was never honest. Don't let Bump lie to you. I've finally been disillusioned. I've been disillusioned with Tekken a long time. I don't know, Namco is falling into that Mortal Kombat 11 trap though, right? Like there's been like no news about the future of the game. I just don't think you can do that anymore in the modern fighting game era. People like to know where they stand with a certain game, so they want to know if they should keep practicing or if they should move on to something else. I know when Season 4 came out, everybody's like, okay, this has to be it. This is the last season. And I don't know, it just seems like there could legitimately be a Season 5 of some kind. I don't know if it's more characters necessarily, but something. There was a patch released the other day to fix a bug online. I don't know how this bug started because they haven't patched anything else, but there was a bug where the game would, the round, like the entire match would just end if you used a rage art. And so naturally people were trolling with that. But it's been fixed now. They did, the Namco Bandai Twitter acknowledged it and fixed it, thankfully. Ouch. Or do what most NetherRealm players do, which is to move backwards, rediscover games now that the pressure of being the current grind is gone. I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Like, when there's no grind, you're playing it because you enjoy it. And that's a big difference between, like... And that's probably why I'm not better at Tekken than I am, because, like, sometimes it just feels like work, and, like, I don't want to work. Like, the times I enjoy Tekken the most is, like, let's say there's a hype tournament, you know, like an online final, or like Little Majin versus JDCR a few years back, something like that. You watch that hype set and, like, you get hype and it's like, oh man, I want to play some Tekken now. And so you play Tekken and you have fun. But, like, when you got a tournament coming up, to some extent it becomes work, because it's like I need to attempt to do my best and learn more about my character and mix-ups and all that fun stuff. So it becomes work. So when there's, like, no pressure of, like, inevitable tournament coming up, you can just enjoy the game. That's a very good point. I did stick with MK10 longer than I did MK11. Like, I tried to be competitive at MK11 for maybe like 3 months. And eventually it was just like, this game is just not fun. I'm not enjoying it. I'm happy for the folks that still play and did enjoy it. But it just wasn't my kind of game. They still got to work on the faces. The MK9 designs were much more true to, I think, the original character archetypes. But gosh, those faces were hideous. Like you look at Sonya Blade in MK9, you just woof. Buzz's girlfriend, woof. I always pretended that these were kazoos growing up. Classic Reptile is my good face's memory of MK9. I thought Reptile and MK9 was a great compromise between the people who are like, no, he's a human with reptile powers versus the MK Deadly Alliance like Abomination, completely reptilian reptile. And then there was the butt ugly scary one from like Deception and all that. You really have so much health in this game. A lot of these trap rooms, you can just kind of tank the damage. Hoya hoya! They should have gone full Belmont's Revenge, and instead of calling extra lives an extra player, should have just called it a rest. Like go play Belmont's Revenge on the Game Boy. Your extra lives are called rest. Like if you look in the menu, it'll tell you how many rest you have left. Like it's freaking a music score or something. Oh yeah, the throwback. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. The throwback reptile. If I remember correctly, the player cannot unlock that costume though, I think. I could be wrong about that, but it seems like the player can't get that reptile. Because if I remember correctly, he has MK1 reptile's moves. So he's basically like a gimped reptile. I actually own the PC version of MK9. There used to be this sick mod you could get, which would give you like all the boss characters and all the NPC characters as playable. It was really cool. Where? Yeah, no, but that McFish thumbnail stuck with me. I wish he didn't live in like the time zone that he lives in so he could drop by these streams more. I don't know what collab me and him are going to do. We're going to collab one day, and it's going to be amazing. I'm fairly certain they went and recorded an actual pool table to use for the sound effects in this area, because that sounds very authentic. Where? Nice combo. Ow. Speaking of people who exist, how do you feel now that you're enlightened about the Battle of the Midway? What? How am I enlightened about the Battle of the Midway? Unless there was a video in my Discord that I missed, which is extremely possible. Oh, that one. Okay. I completely forgot. I get so many wacky shenanigans shared in there. Sometimes I forget them. I haven't finished that one. I need to go back and watch it. This just straight up tells you how to beat the boss, as if you didn't know you have to use the item you find in this dungeon to do it. The surrender robot. But it's dumb because you only really have to do it one time, and after that, his weak point just stays available to you. Got him. Okay, great. Got our second spiritual stone, miracle item. It's Super Seizure Man. Colon, your plan did not work, did it? Who are you? Aha! I'm the leader of the Peach Mountain Shoguns. In the fresh spring breeze, sha la 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 la, I come alive, la la. These beautiful visions appear before my eyes. Yes, I am, I am the one they call Spring Breeze Dancin. What an intro. My armpits? And the funny thing is, he gives the protagonist, like, he picks names for them. So he's like Antonio and Fernandez. Bye for now, Fernandez. We shall meet again. Who's Fernandez? I didn't know this years later, but Chugoku region literally means Chinese region. Chugoku is just Japanese for China. Oops. So the Chugoku region. To get to the Chugoku region, we need to revive Sasuke because he has one of his weapons will allow us to get there. So if you remember, this place was called Doja Hot Springs, not Doja Cat, just Doja Hot Springs. And they actually bothered to put the hot springs in here, which I thought was a nice touch. You could have just called it whatever and then not done that, but they actually bothered to program this little area over here with a hot spring. To my knowledge, it doesn't do anything. Like, I don't think anything happens if you sit in this. But it is nice that they bothered to actually program it there. Farm our health back up a little bit, and then we'll head to the next area. I've got to remember how to get there. Let's see, we're pretty much done with this area. We need to get to the desert. I'm just trying to remember how to get there. Yes, there is a desert in this game. I believe Zazen Town, since I know of no other way to. Yeah, Tanzo. Oh, I remember now. Okay. We can get into the Chugoku region, but we're going to be blocked from going straight to the dungeon until we do some legwork first. That's what it was. If you try to go to the door to the Chugoku region ahead of time, there's a kid nearby and he tells you that he put a door stopper on there so that nobody could use it. And at this point, the batteries ran dead so that we can go through there. Like I said, it's some Nintendo Pokemon level of stop, don't go this way. We want you to go this way. I wish Pokemon would just throw caution to the wind and let the player go wherever they want to. And if that means you getting absolutely skunked by like a level 60 Onyx, then so be it. The safety stopper system. He says the door barely opens. It flies right open. That's actually a gym in there, believe it or not, which we won't visit until almost the very end of the game. Each of these, there's stuff behind those doors, but we need Sasuke to open them. Need to go this way just quite yet. We need to find the desert, like I said. I just can't remember. It's the other way, unfortunately. My depth perception is poor. This is the part I got stuck on, and yes, that did say Inaba. As a kid, I could not figure out what I was supposed to do here. And I didn't realize there was like a little oasis hidden at the back where you could grab a battery that we need to resurrect Sasuke. This is another one of those mini levels I was telling you about that this game tries to use. That's what we need right there. And I believe the number 2 battery is at the other area. We just have to go and take a picture of it. And that will be just about the last time we use the wind-up camera in any capacity. It's essentially the Goemon version of Octoroks. Now you may have noticed this area over here on the side. We're going to pretend we're playing Skyrim and try to climb up some steep terrain. Except this time you actually have to. You don't have a choice. Lake with a large tree. Well, they weren't lying. Electro Shine Unite. Have another seizure right quick. This is Sasuke. He's the final party member we will receive. He's very quick and he uses 2 kunai as his weapon. He also gets a firecracker bomb which we will use to blow those doors from earlier open. So let's go ahead and try Sasuke out. There are actually some really pretty environments in this game to be a mid to late 80s N64 game. 80s, goodness, 90s. You know, some N64 games are fun, but they just look kind of muddy and blurry. This one actually looks pretty nice. Even on actual hardware, it looks nice. The character models are kind of low quality though, and the enemies look kind of lame. They're just, their designs are lame. See, that's more than enough health to finish the game with. But we'll have even more by the end of it. There's also a lot of really large areas too. Like, this is a pretty decent sized area for an N64 game. Unfortunately, money never really sees much use because the game is so easy. You don't really need to buy health items or armor items. But they are there should you want to spend money on them. Most of the time it's better served to just spend the money on ammunition. There's nothing I hate more in games than doors I can't eventually open. Silent Hill 2 and 3 were a real nightmare for me. Now, hidden somewhere over here on this wall is the next dungeon. The lock is jammed, it won't open. The lock is jammed, it won't open. The lock is jammed, it won't open. This door is broken. Oh yeah, Mike, you gotta give us our Titanic facts for the night. I know you've been sitting on them, just awaiting. And finally, we reach the Festival Temple Castle. The formal name for the Titanic was actually the RMS Titanic. RMS is a designation that means Royal Mail Steamer. It's a title traditionally given to vessels authorized to carry mail. I did not know that. That's an awfully specific thing to know. Pleasure Goal. Well, yeah, with a name like Pleasure Goal, of course it has to be terrible. When the ship hit the iceberg and the forward hold flooded first, which was where the mail was kept, stewards worked furiously to remove the mail to higher decks to keep it dry. I'm guessing that the letters never made it. Oh really? I can't walk under that. They actually didn't believe the ship would sink and so wasted valuable time that they could have used to escape. Instead, be sure to thank your local postal workers. Rain, sleet, snow, or hail, or a ship going underwater will deliver what you mail. This dungeon is definitely a little more open-ended than the others, which were fairly like point A to point B. This one finally opens up a little bit and says like, hey, figure out where to go. There is actually, unfortunately, a very specific order in which it wants you to complete it, but it does give you the option to make the mistake if you'd like. They seemingly knew this because they give you the map very early. Iceberg is a fairly extreme form of sleet. If the forecast calls for iceberg and you're on an ocean vessel, you better get out of there. Alright, so there's our first locked door. That's 2 full health dumplings in this dungeon already. They're being extremely generous. Oh, I forget about those guys. They're really annoying. I am going to have a lot of videos to get caught up on. Especially if I want to understand the legend of Knuckle Joe or whatever it is. The legend of Knuckle Joe. Is he going to 1 credit clear the legend of Bagger Vance as well? That's a pretty tough get, I heard. The legend of Curly's Gold. After he 1 credit clears Porky's, right? Hate that enemy. Curly's Gold, is that the movie with the real treasure was the friends we made along the way? Is that where that came from? Suck Joe content to look forward to. The Legends of Suck Joe. SUCC. Gotta get that good suck. No, I don't want that. Give me the health. Oh, you would. There we go. Found a key. Okay, now we're making progress. Failure. Okay, apparently that one doesn't reach. Try jumping, that's a neat trick. Regular is just 6 of the important fights without not much else other than a few awkward no-context cutscenes. But Legend is like mostly, if not all, fights. Okay, well that's good. Good for him. Gutter trash. See, we picked up the silver key, not the gold one. Joe provoked a ruffian. Is the English on par or better than Knuckle Bash? Because I want to say at the end he says, "What a knuckle bash it was." The kunai of severe cold, that's a key item that we need to complete this dungeon, so that's very good. Yes, yes, I know how it works. What a knuckle bash it was. I do enjoy a good duck and weave room. Mr. Arrow, how completely generic. Cheap shot, cheap shot. Oh yeah, there's the meat saw hammer. This is actually an optional room, but we'll do it for completion's sake. Jose Mendoza. Like Simon Belmondo. Like Mondo Juice squeezers. Does anybody remember Mondo Juice? These things are just like 100% sugar, 100% water. That's it. No nutritional content is to be derived from this product. Yeah, whatever. Take your free hit and leave me alone. At no point during the process was nature involved in the creation of our products. I'm just going in circles. I need to try the other side. Yeah, get frozen. Define edge. Like an edgier Pokemon, like more people wearing gothic clothes, hanging out, smoking dope around Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town. Gotta be careful, Pokemon. Don't cut yourself on that edge. Maybe we should put Pokemon in the game. That would be interesting. Oh, we got star blocks up there. That and a plot that has real stakes. Yeah, I mean, the closest thing that had to stakes was like the whole forced Pokemon evolution thing that you and Lance take care of like more than midway through the game. Anything above medium rare is really just charcoal. I don't know, I enjoy a good medium well burger. A steak I can take maybe a little bit more red with, but for the burger I like it to be medium well. I wonder if seared Magikarp would be any good. It's pleasure goal like a soccer league type game where you just have to win so many matches with your team. I've got the hiccups because I'm an old man and I have heartburn now. A final boss battle. Like what, does one of the monsters from King of the Monsters show up and you have to kick flaming soccer balls at them enough times to defeat them? Oh, what the... So cheap. Excuse me. So essentially NBA maximum hang time, where when someone crazy enough comes along that beats all of the teams except the last one, you have to play the Chicago Bulls, and they have like permanent team fire and all that crazy cheating stuff. Those little Kunimitsu masks will spray fire at you, but you can actually freeze them to make them stop. The name of the music track in this level is Use the Ice Kunai on the Fox's Fire. Coincidence? I think not. The gold key, and finally I understand how the layout of this dungeon works. Is it that good jank, or is it bad jank? We talking about survival arts jank, or 64th Street, a detective story jank? Dang it, these hiccups. Super janky, oh brothers. No, yeah, there we go. No, oh my goodness. Really, Sasuke? I cleared that. I want a recount. No. No. Like, okay, I get the premise of this room, but why did this first jump have to be off a slope? It makes no sense. Schmuck with iffy art choices. Because I would rather play survival arts than 64th Street Detective Story any day. Any day. And just like that, we've reached the boss of Festival Temple. That's one of my better showings with Festival Temple. I usually get lost, but this time I remembered it well enough to beat it without too much trouble. Never tried taking a picture of this guy. He is a ghost, so I wonder what would happen. Nothing. What in the world? I hit him. Cosmo Police Galvin 2. That just sounds janky. And the fact that there's a 2 implies that there was a Cosmo Police 1. When it says Cosmo Police, I hope it means like Cosmo Kramer. I got the jank, Jerry. Got him. Sharon. And here's Summer's Eve, Lily. Oh, Kitty Lily. That was this lady's name. I could never remember it. The game doesn't tell you where Kyushu is, but it tells you you need to go there. I got him that time. You're not going to jump over me. You're not going to hit me with that Fing Wei backswing blow tech. Alright, this is the gateway that takes us to Kyushu. Or does it? This is essentially Goemon's girlfriend. You can talk to her at the beginning of the game, or you can just not go in the coffee shop that she's in and miss her entirely. If you come to this map before beating the festival temple, there will be a giant barrier in front of the bridge with a symbol over it to keep you from going down it. I've never tried to use like cheats or something to get on the other side of it. I assume there's nothing there. Notice there's no water dripping from the bottom of the island of Kyushu. Alright, that's probably going to do it for this stream. We're right at the end. And also, next week, will Goemon and his friends be able to rescue Omitsu and find Kyushu? Well, considering this game has been out 20 years or more, probably so. However, that will be up to you to tune in next week and find out. This part in the game, you actually have to go to the fortune teller. If it's your first time playing, you actually have to go to the fortune teller to figure out where to go next. The game doesn't tell you. But it can be done. If you know what to do, you can just go and do it. And that's exactly what we'll do next week. Until then, we're going to go behind this Pokemon Sword and Shield sword tree here, which that enemy is having quite a time with, and sign off for now. Thanks everybody for stopping in. I appreciate you. A lot of likes, a lot of views tonight. I appreciate it all. Take care. If you're not in the Discord, stop by the Discord. I'll provide a link now. Hopefully this actually works. Be sure to join in, and you can tell me what game you want to see next so I can not play it. Anyway, take care everybody. Have fun.